little over a year ago, I moved my painting practice out of my dining room, which is where we are right now, and into my first professional art studio. It is a 10 by 10 space in a building full of other artists. And once a quarter, this building opens its doors to the community, inviting people in to see our work, buy art, and for artists around the building to meet each other. But even though I was so excited to be in a studio, I was honestly too scared to participate in these open studio weekends at first. So I skipped the first 4 events this past year. And only recently did I finally take the leap and open my doors to the public. That experience was a huge lesson in vulnerability, and it's one that I'm still taking away some learnings from. If you've ever felt that fear before sharing your art, wondering if it's good enough or if people will understand it, I get it. But that fear, that hesitation, it's actually an opportunity. So today, we're diving into why embracing vulnerability isn't a weakness, and actually it's one of the greatest strengths that you can bring to your creative work. Vulnerability in the creative process often means taking risks that push us beyond our comfort zones. Imagine trying a new artistic medium or sharing an unconventional idea with others. It can feel incredibly uncertain, yet it's in those moments of risk that we discover our most authentic creative voice. And by embracing these risks, we allow our creativity to grow in unexpected and meaningful ways. Remember, every leap you take, even when it feels like a gamble, is a testament to your bravery and to your commitment to genuine self-expression. Vulnerability isn't just about the work we create, it's also about sharing the personal story behind that work. When we open up about our inspirations, our struggles, and the emotions that drive our art, we invite people into our world. Think about the difference it makes when you hear an artist share why the piece matters to them. It transforms their work into a shared experience, creating a deeper connection. Your story gives context to your creations, making them resonate more deeply and inspiring others to connect with their own stories. Receiving feedback on your work can feel like exposing a tender part of yourself. It's not always easy to hear criticism, but vulnerability means being open to it, even when it stings. Instead of seeing feedback as a reflection of your worth, view it as a tool for growth. The more we engage with constructive criticism, the more resilient we become. Over time, this practice builds a sense of confidence, reminding us that our value isn't tied to perfection, but to our willingness to keep learning and improving. Growth doesn't happen in our comfort zones. It happens when we face challenges head on. Vulnerability requires us to step into discomfort, whether it's sharing an unfinished piece or trying something we've never done before. And it's in that discomfort where true growth occurs. Think of how nerve-wracking it can be to put your work out there, knowing it may be critiqued. Yet by leaning into that discomfort, we build new skills, we gain valuable insights, and we evolve as creators. It's proof that growth often feels messy and uncertain. One of the most beautiful things about being vulnerable in our creative work is the ways it fosters connection. When we're open about our challenges, our fears, or our triumphs, we invite others to share in our journey. Vulnerability encourages authenticity, which in turn creates a sense of community and belonging. Your willingness to share your creative process, imperfections and all, can inspire others to do the same. It's about building a network of support and understanding where everyone feels seen and encouraged to keep creating. Vulnerability also invites us to release control, especially over how others perceive us and our work. It can be freeing to let go of the need for everyone to approve or interpret our work in a certain way. When we create with the expectation of pleasing others, we limit our true potential. Releasing that control lets us focus on our own voices rather than external opinions. Imagine creating something purely because it matters to you. Vulnerability helps us focus on creating authentically rather than performing for approval. And in that freedom, we find our most genuine work. With that release of control comes trust in the creative process itself. Vulnerability means leaning into the unknown and accepting that each piece of work is a journey. Each sketch, draft, or prototype is a step towards something that may only become clear later. This trust allows us to stay present in the act of creating without constantly questioning the outcome. Trusting the process means embracing the journey, even when the result is uncertain. It's about valuing the act of creation as much as, if not more than, the finished piece. Finally, vulnerability is about celebrating the small acts of bravery along the way. Maybe you shared a rough draft with a friend, or you tried a new technique, or you simply finished a challenging project. Each of these small wins is worth celebrating. Recognizing these moments of courage helps build confidence. Imagine the progress you make in a year just by celebrating each small step forward. Vulnerability isn't about big leaps. It's It's about showing up consistently and honoring every act of courage. Now let's move on to some exercises. These are actionable steps you can try today to bring more vulnerability into your creative work. Remember, it is all about the process and about taking small, brave steps. Set a timer for 10 minutes and create something, anything, without editing or overthinking. You could do a quick sketch or some free writing, whatever calls to you. The key here is to let your ideas flow and to silence that inner critic. This exercise isn't about making something perfect. It's about giving yourself permission to create without restrictions. Think of it as a playground for your creativity. There's no right or wrong here. If you're drawing, let the lines be messy. If you're writing, don't worry about grammar or structure. The goal is to free your mind from the pressure to perform and instead enjoy the act of creating. Remember, some of your best ideas can come from these unplanned moments of exploration. Let yourself be surprised by what you create. Next, share a piece of unfinished work with a trusted person. This might feel intimidating, but it's a powerful way to practice vulnerability. Whether it's a friend, a fellow artist, or an online community, sharing something unfinished helps you embrace the idea that creativity doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. It's scary to put something out there that isn't polished, but it's also incredibly freeing. Vulnerability doesn't mean showing up when everything is perfect. It's about letting others see you in the middle of your journey. Think about how much more relatable and inspiring it is to see someone share their process, the raw, unfiltered version of their work. You might be surprised at how many people appreciate your honesty and see the beauty in your work in progress. Plus, getting feedback at this stage can be invaluable, offering fresh perspectives that can inspire new directions or solutions you hadn't considered. Remember, sharing your journey can create deeper connections and inspire others to embrace their own creative imperfections. Perfectionism can be a huge creativity killer, keeping us stuck and afraid to take risks. Here's an exercise to help break free from it. Start by writing down the perfectionist thoughts that come up when you create. These can be things like, this isn't good enough, I'll never finish this, or people will judge me if it's not perfect. Be honest and list whatever comes to mind, even if it feels uncomfortable. Then, try reframing those thoughts into more compassionate and supportive ones. For example, instead of this isn't good enough, you could say, I'm learning with every attempt, or growth takes time, or I'll never finish this could be replaced with every step I take brings me closer to completion. Remind yourself it's okay to make mistakes. Every artist does. As you reframe each one, use a pen or a marker to cross out the perfectionist thought you wrote down. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let that fear out on the exhale. Reframing these thoughts isn't about ignoring your fears, but about creating space for more compassionate and courageous creativity. By changing the narrative, you can start to let go of the unrealistic pressure and instead focus on the joy and the exploration that comes from the creative process. Feedback can be tough to hear, especially when we've poured our hearts into our work, but it is a valuable gift for growth. One of the best ways to grow as a creator is to seek out constructive feedback on a piece you're working on. Choose someone whose opinion you trust and who can offer thoughtful, honest insights. The goal here is to listen openly without immediately defending your work or explaining your choices. Just absorb what they're saying. Take notes on what resonates with you and give yourself time to reflect on how it can help you improve. Remember, vulnerability isn't about being invulnerable to criticism, it's about embracing the opportunity to learn and grow from it. It is so natural to feel a bit defensive, but practicing openness can transform feedback into a powerful tool. You can always choose what feedback to implement and what to set aside, but taking that first step to listen and consider another perspective is huge. By welcoming feedback with an open mind, you're strengthening your creative practice and building resilience along the way. Lastly, consider keeping a journal dedicated to your vulnerable moments. Write about the times that you shared your work, tried something completely new, or took a creative risk. Reflect on what you felt in those moments, whether it was fear, excitement, or a mix of both, and what you learned from the experience. Did the outcome surprise you? Did you grow in ways that you didn't expect? Documenting these moments can be incredibly empowering. It helps you realize how far you've come, and it reinforces the courage it took to put yourself out there. Vulnerability isn't something that you master overnight. It's a journey that evolves over time. By keeping a record of your bravery, you're not only validating your own growth, but also creating a source of inspiration to look back on. Imagine flipping through your journal months from now and seeing all of the ways you've pushed your creative boundaries. It becomes a tangible reminder of your resilience and the strength you've gained from embracing vulnerability. So celebrate each step forward, no matter how small, and honor the progress you've made. I hope these insights and exercises inspire you to embrace vulnerability in your creative work. Remember, vulnerability isn't about being fearless. It's just about being brave enough to show up, imperfections at all. If you want to dive deeper, check out the Art of Vulnerability workbook. It's at frankiesaturn.com. It's a great companion to these exercises and offers more prompts to explore. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content on creativity and growth. I would love to hear how you're embracing vulnerability, so share your experiences in the comments below. See you next time.